Members of the South African Federation of Trade Unions are picketing outside of the Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council. Several other unions are expected to join the public service unions. They're calling for the salary increases, among other issues. Tshegohaco Moagi is in Centurion and joins us now for a quick update. Tshegohaco, good morning to you. Is it my understanding that among some of the unions there expected to picket, mainly it's the police union, unless, of course, I'm completely mistaken, but take us into exactly who these unions are that are going to be picketing and what are some of the other issues apart from salary increases?
Well, good morning, Xoli. So the unions that are picketing here, of course, as you've mentioned, Saftu is here, the South African Policing Union, and Newzroom, they're also here. These are unions that represent various public service workers within South Africa. You get workers, of course, in the policing forum, those that work there. You also have workers from the Department of Social Development, the Department of Health as well. So various workers are actually affected by this particular salary increase. The picket here, they are calling for an 8% increase, whereas we understand that there's a suggested 3% increase that has been put on the table. Let's bring in Tshegohaco. He is from the South African Federation of Trade Unions, Saftu spokesperson. Trevor, thank you so much for your time. So let's just get us details of, the issues that you are really battling with and grappling with that has led to this picket outside here.
The issues we are battling with at the current moment is in relation to the wage increases, which we demanded 10% at the beginning of the negotiations across the board. And the government negotiators refused to give us that. They offered first 1.5%, later 2%, and now they've increased it by 1% to 3%. We are saying that because this is below inflation, we cannot accept it, because public service employees have actually taken a serious step in as far as pension funds are concerned, but also the wage are concerned. From 2020, we got nothing. In 2021, they got 1.5% plus cash gratuity, which was taxable but non-pensionable. And this year, they're offering 3% and a cash gratuity, which will also be non-pensionable and taxable. So for us, this is a serious loss to workers in as far as pensions are concerned. If you combine the losses in the 3 years, workers would have lost at least about 9.8% of increases to their pension funds. And considering the fact that the workers must give 7.5% to their pension funds, and the government must give 13.5% to the pension funds. This, in our view, means that there is a lot that workers will be losing in pensions in the long run. But also in terms of wages. Last year, the non-pensionable cash gratuity would have meant that workers have increased at least something in their pockets, added some disposable cash in their pockets. But this year it's not the same, because what the government has done is to recycle the money that they gave workers last year into this financial year. And also they are planning to give it into the following financial years until 2025. And this for us cannot be accepted.
I mean, the issue of salary increase is something that happens every year. The negotiations happen, if not yearly, then it will be every other year. Are you hoping for there to be, a good outcome from this one, specifically for the workers? And what happens if then there's a complete deadlock when it comes between the conversations that you have with the PSBC and also with the workers?
The first part is that we are hoping that the government would reconsider its position. Although it would not surprise us if they do not reconsider. They are embarking on a program called fiscal consolidation. Fiscal consolidation is coming from the toolbox of the neoliberal fiscal policies. And according to them, government expenditure and government debt is at unsustainable levels, and therefore they cannot spend any further. What they are trying to do is to then arrest such a situation. How do they do that? By cutting costs on cutting expenditure on the public service, but also on the workers whom they hire to deliver those particular services. So for us, the other gripe, maybe I must mention, is that beyond the wage increases, the South African Federation of Trade Unions requires the government in particular, to increase the public sector wage bill so that not only are we going to be able to afford to increase the wages of workers, but we'll also be able to hire more workers. Because at the current moment, the total number of workers in the public service has declined by 34,000. At the same time, the number of population in the country has increased by 20 million. This shows you that the demand for public service has grown, whereas the people who are supposed to deliver those services have actually declined. And as a result, this affects the delivery of those services. And that is the reason why your hospitals and clinics have become the place of horrors and death. But also the basic education schooling is in shambles, where learners cannot read and write, but also there's continued 40% of learners who enter schooling cannot finish matric in that regard. And this is because of a number of areas which relates to government expenditure, not only on the public sector wage bill. So we are hoping that government should reconsider this, expand its public sector wage bill so that we can be able to give increases to workers and hire more workers. If we deadlock, already we have deadlocked three weeks ago. If the conciliation, which is taking place here today, does not become successful or bear fruits, we obviously are going to be granted certificates for a strike. We are going to have to embark on a strike. The unions which have deadlocked, it's PSA, which is not with us, it's with EDUSA, and with us it's SAPU, NUPSO, and then there is another union, PEU, which also deadlocked with us. So if they do not do that, if they do not agree to the demands, accede to the demands we are putting forward, obviously we are going to have to go on strike. But this will depend on whether the other unions do not sign. Yes. All
right. Thank you so much, Tshegohaco. Really just giving us details there, Xoli, about, the issues of salary increases. And I'm also just speaking about what happens if, the discussions today are not fruitful, that they will then have to go on a strike. This would mean hospitals will be affected. Police, of course, will also then be part of that strike. And other people that are part of the public service within South Africa will also then be heading to the streets if they do not get a favorable outcome. Xoli?
Moagi, thank you very much for that update. We'll keep monitoring that picket outside those offices there.